Hello, everyone. I'm here with Alan today, and we're going to be doing a super fun crafting jokes for kids class. We're going to be going over dad jokes and what makes them funny.
Or not, because they're dad jokes. But we'll talk about that. We'll get into the details of what makes a joke a dad joke.
So if you are joining us live, go ahead and comment where you're joining us from and how many people are joining us. And if you are already downloading the worksheet, if you need the link to that, it is in the description of this video, and I'm also going to go ahead and share a link in the comments. So let me go over here. It looks like we have 6 people live. So go ahead and tell us who is joining us and where you're joining us from. A little bit about Alan. Alan Broker is a teacher, husband, and a father. He is a joyful writer, and he began writing the Towers of Light series for his own children to help him illustrate the deep truths of the Bible in an engaging and age-appropriate way. He has dedicated 15 years of his life to volunteer roles in children ministries and youth development. Now, his own children are off to college, and he's telling stories and sharing clean humor on social media and through his blog. Thank you so much for joining us today, Alan.
I'm just happy to be here, Amelia. And just so you know, it's Alan Brocken. So like Brocken.
Okay, I got it. So we're going to go start doing the class in about 5 to 10 minutes. So that is plenty of time for you guys to go ahead and download the worksheets so that you can go ahead and create jokes along with the class. It's going to be a lot of fun and a lot of laughs.
That's awesome that you're here from Australia. I feel like an international superstar. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Lena. If you're just joining us now, go ahead and comment with where you're joining us from and who's joining us today.
So, Amelia, if you don't mind my asking, where are you joining us from?
I'm actually in North Idaho. So it has been snowing and snowing all the way through April every night. So as you can see, I'm still wearing my warm hats.
I just thought that was a fashion choice. I didn't realize that it was actually functional.
Yes, we had our first 70-degree day yesterday, but it has been not hotter than 40 degrees and 20 degrees at night for the last couple of months.
Wow.
So we have someone joining us from Arizona, so you wouldn't know anything about what I'm talking about, Ashley.
Yeah, Arizona's the opposite of snow, I would think.
We've got Mary from Georgia. We've got a 7-year-old, 8-year-old, and a 9-year-old so far joining us. Hello, everyone.
Excellent. Well, I'm here in Central Illinois, and it's gotten nice enough days in a row that we actually opened the like windows and stuff, and are having fresh air today. And so if my eyes are a little watery, it's because my allergy medicine hasn't caught up to like spring being a thing. And then my cat was outside enjoying the sun, so it's definitely that time of year.
Hello, Catherine. Again, if you haven't downloaded the worksheet, go ahead and check the link that I shared in the comments. Just go ahead and scroll up and grab that link, be able to get that worksheet to go along with this fun class. Hello, Carla. Thanks for joining us. Welcome, everyone. We've got some new people joining in. Thanks for joining us. We're going to get started in just 1 minute with the fun Crafting Jokes for Kids class. Go ahead and comment where you're joining us from and download the worksheet. Okay. If everyone has had a chance to go ahead and download that worksheet, we are ready to get started. Go ahead and put an emoji in the chat if you are ready to get started hearing the class.
I'm ready, but I'm not sure I have the chat, so that's my emoji. There you go.
So for any of us that are new joining us here today, Alan Brocken is a teacher and a father. He's a joyful writer, and he began writing the Towers of Light series for his own children to help him illustrate the deep truths of the Bible in an engaging and age-appropriate way. He has dedicated 15 years of his life to volunteer roles in the children ministries and youth development. And now that his own children are off to college, he's telling stories and sharing clean humor on social media and through his blog and through this fun class. So, Alan, why don't you go ahead and get started with this fun class?
Welcome, everyone, to Crafting Jokes and Puns for Kids. I'm Alan Brocken. I'm the author of the Towers of Light series, and I think it'd just be great if we did a quick intro on what I'm all about. So, I went a little too fast. There we go. Okay, so that's awesome. Well, that was supposed to say I was a homeschool dad. Amelia and I did some editing on my stuff earlier. So, but anyway, I'm a homeschool dad of 3. I've got kids that now are 22, 20, and 17. So all my kids are in college, but they used to be little and fun like that picture was, but it disappeared. So the other thing is I'm an author. So I wrote the Towers of Light series. This is a series, imagine, if you will, if Laura Ingalls from Little House on the Prairie found the armor of God. That's a quick thing, but this isn't a pitch for my books. I do have workbooks and audio because I'm a multimedia curriculum provider. But today we're going to really focus on this role that I have as I am a dad joke engineer. My job in life is to specifically craft jokes just for the right effect. You know, it makes people, my jokes make people go, oh, or oh, come on. That's the kind of, it takes an engineer to put that kind of level into it. And so I just want you to know, when does a joke become a dad joke? When he becomes a parent. Now, we're going to learn that there are classifications of dad jokes, and you might not know that, but there are different kinds. So we're going to learn all about that today, the different kinds of dad jokes. And if you'd like more jokes, you can follow me at Alan Brocken Author on all the social media platforms. I do a little bit of videos, do a little bit of stuff. It's a lot of fun. Make sure you get the worksheet because we're going to take some pauses. Yes, cringe is the right answer. That is the right way to deal with a dad joke. But I'm going to actually talk about how funny jokes too in a little bit. But anyway, make sure you get the worksheets because there'll be time to work on them interactively while we're doing the class. So what you're going to learn today is some basics of telling dad jokes. And if there are dads on here, you already know these basics, but your kids need to learn. They need to know how they too can craft the groaners and the cringers out there. And so there's really 3 classes of dad jokes we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the basic play on words. This is like your entry-level dad joke. Then we're going to go into the twist of a phrase. This is more like high school level. And then finally, we're going to drop into the fun with homophones. Now, you might not know what that word means, but I'm going to tell you what it means later. Anyway, we're going to learn about that's like college level dad jokes. So, but we're also going to learn about how to tell jokes that are actually funny. Now, I am not a comedian. That is to say, you're not going to see me on Saturday Night Live or some comedy show. But I have been to a few comedy classes, and occasionally I can tell an actually funny joke. So at least YouTube numbers say that. So every now and then I'm funny. So let's talk about what that looks like. You got to set up the joke, right? There's a setup. And then you got to add some pow to your punchline. You got to really catch people off guard and give the pow. And then timing with the joke is everything. You got to time it just right. And then finally, delivery isn't just for pizza. It's not just about kind of when you say the words, but it's also how you say them that really makes it good. So we're going to talk about those things. And then finally, we're going to watch out for some things to avoid because jokes are funny when other people laugh at them and they're laughing with you. They're not good if they're laughing at you or, you're having fun at someone's expense that doesn't really appreciate it. So we're going to talk about how to avoid that. So that's what you'll learn today. And with that, I'm going to just get started right into dad joke basics. And I think we all know what a dad joke is like. I think it's like this, right? It's that if you have to hit your palm, if you've got a cringe, if you've got a groan, you know you just heard a dad joke. But I think one of the funny things about this is that term dad joke didn't exist in common language until the 1980s. And then the idea that you'd have a dad joke book or a dad joke podcast or something like that didn't actually get popular until President Obama started talking about dad jokes during his presidency. And he said dad joke this or that somewhere in some speech. And after that, dad jokes turned into this whole thing. And, I have this whole class now because it became a popular thing to share your jokes broadly. So with that in mind, let's talk about the basic dad joke. The first technique, play on words, is really just taking a word and putting it somewhere it doesn't belong. And because it doesn't belong there, it's kind of funny. It's kind of clever. It's kind of different. That's a play on words. Then we got the twist of a phrase. And this is taking a common phrase that you've heard and using it in an uncommon place. Okay. And then finally, homophones. I mentioned this earlier. A homophone is a word that sounds like another word. Okay. It's not actually that word, but it sounds like it. So we're going to go through each one of these in some detail, and I'll give you some examples of these types of jokes as we go along. So let's start with the play on words. Here's your first example. Why did the tomato turn red? Because it saw the salad dressing. Now, the play on words here, right? The only thing weird about this is the word dressing, right? Because we're using dressing in a different context. Because there's the dressing you put on top of your salad, right? You're dressing the salad. But, if someone sees you dressing, that could be embarrassing. So that's why the joke is what it is, right? And you probably knew that, and you probably went cringe, and it was bad. But the whole point of a play on words is you're taking a common word and you're using it in an uncommon way. So that's an example. Another good example of a play on words might be, how do programmers arrange their crayons? And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Apparently, Amelia has done some programming. I heard that she's used this thing called Linux. So can you guess how they arrange their crayons if you've done some coding, Amelia?
Are they color coded?
You're right on target. And it's a play on words. Color coding means one thing, but in programming, it's coding. So you get the idea. So this is how a play on words works, is you're taking a common thing and you're using it somewhere it doesn't. So one last one, just to get it home. What do you call a flower that runs on electricity? And I know we're all like looking for some green energy out there, solar. You might think it has something to do with that, but it's a power plant. Okay. So the whole point of this, the play on words, is you're just taking a word and using it slightly differently than you would expect, right? So now it's your turn. And I'm hoping that we don't have an audio issue here, but you have 2 minutes. Okay. If you took the if you did the worksheet at the bottom, there's a matching exercise where you can kind of put the punchline with the front line, and then there's some examples for you to try. And what would be great if you're in the Facebook event, I just put a post in there where you can go share your play on words. And if you do, and I use it on my website or somewhere, I'll give you credit. Like, go ahead and put in how you'd like to be known. If you're Steve age 7, just say Steve age 7, and I'll make sure that Steve age 7 gets credit for his joke. So you've got 2 minutes. So by my clock, it's 7:14. At 7:16, we'll get back to the show.
Okay, so go and craft your fun, punny jokes. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the link to this, and I'm going to share it in the comments, so you guys can all go over there and share your fun joke. If you don't have the worksheet, now would be a good time to go ahead and download it so that you can participate. If you haven't already told us where you're joining us from, it's always fun to see where people are coming from. I'm from North Idaho here, and we have some people joining us from Australia, all over. So go ahead and comment after you've shared your joke or downloaded your worksheet.
Yeah, that's the trick part. I don't want to give too much away right now. I want people to have time to actually work. It's kind of hard to do a live class, you know.
Okay, clock is ticking. Craft those funny jokes.
We have 1 minute. And don't worry, if you don't get your joke done while it's live, that's why I did the Facebook post, so you can come back later. If you finish up your worksheet and you find one you think is pretty funny, feel free to add it into the thing later. I probably should learn how to juggle. That would help this process. Excellent. I don't remember what 3A is. I'm going to have to look that up later. You can share the joke in the chat here. I just set up the other thing because it's really hard for me to pull it out of the chat and like reuse it to share with other people. But if you want to share it here, that's fine.
So Ashley shares, what do you call a bug that's late to a party?
A ladybug. That is a definite play on words.
And then we have, yep. So it looks like we do have some people sharing. So we have Lena shared on the post, what should you get a baker on Valentine's Day? Plain flowers.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. All right. So we're going to move on to the next type of joke. So the next dad joke. Oh.
Why did the boy bring his band to the field? To play baseball, of course. Esther, age 12.
Sorry, I missed the OFC. I didn't know what that meant because I'm old. I was trying to decode that in my old man brain. Okay, so let's talk about the next one. Twist of a phrase. This is the more advanced version of play on words because you're going to take a common phrase now, not just the word, and you're going to use it very differently than expected. So, for example, I'm reading a book about anti-gravity. It's impossible to put down. Okay, and it's impossible to put a good book down, not right? That's just true. But yes, that's not funny. Yeah, no, it's not. Yep. So anyway, the whole point of this is putting, like, it's impossible to put a book down as a common phrase. It's something people say. I've had books that I've said that about. But in this context of anti-gravity, it's actually kind of funny. So that's the idea. The twist of the phrase is using a phrase in a way that you wouldn't expect it. So the next one, why don't scientists trust atoms? Amelia, do you have any idea?
Beats me.
Because they make everything up.
That's good.
So you see here, what this one is really, really doing is treating atoms as if they lie, right? Because if you're making up stuff, you're lying. But in fact, they make everything up. So again, it's just a twist of a phrase. It's taking a phrase that you've heard, something that's common, people used to, and using it in another context. So then the last example I have here is, why did the Scarecrow win an award? Because it was outstanding in its field. Okay, now that one, the kids might not have picked up on that one. I admit that's a little bit, you got to be a little bit older and understand careers and job fields and things like that to get that one. But Amelia's clearly got it. She saw it. It's probably just a funny picture, right? The Scarecrow is kind of cute, so maybe that's worth laughing at, and the joke wasn't that good. But the whole point is outstanding in your field is a thing, right? Like you get awards if you're outstanding in your field. Anyway, so now it's your turn. think of some phrases. I've given you some examples, and we got another 2-minute window where you can make up your own jokes and share them with us. So at 7:22 my time, so in 2 minutes, we'll come back and I'll move on to the next section.
So we got another joke on the play on words. Mary shared, the world's tongue twister champion was recently arrested. They're going to give him a tough sentence.
Excellent.
And if you can't tell, I love puns, I love wordplay, and I love dad jokes. So all of these are hilarious to me.
I am so glad that you're enjoying it. And I don't know. My wife actually was like, I can't join the show because it'll just hurt. Like she has to put up with me telling this stuff all the time. So I appreciate everyone sticking with me here through some of these bad jokes, but I tried to find better of the bad jokes, right? Like, so, there was a lot of bottom shelf dad jokes that I didn't put in there.
Okay, I shared a link to the Twist of Phrase jokes thread that you can share your jokes there.
Well, I did say these are dad jokes. We haven't gotten to the real joke telling. We're just in the process of the dad side of this. Just warm up. The dad jokes are kind of a warm up for a real joke. Oh, we have a dog.
Yes, that is Teddy Bear. And he is upset because somebody has some French fries. And he is chained up so he doesn't come and try to tackle me down. He is a St. Bernard poodle mix, so if he wants something, he gets it.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
We've got
hit our 2 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next section. And this is actually, as dad jokes says, these are the most fun, for me anyway, is fun with homophones. And so we're looking for words that sound like other words that when use in its place, it makes it funny. So I'll give you an example. Why do skunks always celebrate Valentine's Day? Because they are sentimental. Okay, they smell, scent, but you get it. You get it. It's horrible. I know. But the idea here, why did the family fill the pool with milk to take a dip? Because milk does a body good. Nice. I like that. All right. I don't know what that comment means. Anyway, I keep getting distracted by the comments and I lost my train of thought. So anyway, homophones, it's words that sound like other words and you make a joke out of it, right? So the next one I have on the line here is, where do waffles go on vacation? San Diego. So, it's San Diego's a city, but a San Diego sand and you get the idea, right? We're taking a word that sounds like another word and put it in there for the punchline. So the last one that's a homophone that I've got is, why are asteroids so smart? They have common sense. Common sense. You get the idea. So the thing about homophones that's probably my favorite though is pun. That's a pun, is a play on words. That we talk about puns. Pun is like one of the best homophones out there. You can squeeze pun into all kinds of places to make dad jokes. So I put that on the list of the worksheet, and I'm really interested to see what you do with the homophones in this next exercise. So again, another quick 2 minutes. It's 7:24. It looks like. So in a couple minutes, we'll get back to the show. But I'd love to see your fun with homophones.
We have a twist of phrase joke from Isabel. Why do poets dislike oranges? Because it's hard to peel its rhyme. And I think we have one person who's making another play on words joke, but they're still typing.
It could be a good one. Like, Well, and I did wonder, should I have longer pauses or whatnot, but I didn't know if I wanted to make the um, class, like an hour long with 15-minute sections. I wasn't sure how to work for a live. So, what's the best time to go to the dentist? 2:30. Love that. That's excellent. That is exactly a homophone.
Okay, and here is the link to I'm going to edit that link with, let me edit that so that it's a smaller link. There you go. You can go ahead and share your fun jokes there.
So, Amelia, you said you like puns. Do you have a homophone joke, maybe?
Not one off the top of my head. I just enjoy them.
You just enjoy it. That's totally fine. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. Nice. How does a bee get to school? A buzz. That's a good one. I'm looking forward to finding a time to use that one. I can. There's probably National School Bus Day. This is probably coming up somewhere, and we can use that joke. Speaking of that, I'll talk about this more at the end. But I have a newsletter with silly celebrations. Every day of the year, there's a different national holiday that I love to tell people about. So there's National School Bus Day. I'll definitely use this joke there.
Thank you for sharing that one, Ashley.
All right. Well, you guys keep sharing your jokes. Like I said, even after this is over, if you fill out your worksheet and you think you got a good one, go ahead and post it in the event. I think that'd be great that we can share it with other people. And with that in mind, I'm going to move on to the next part, and we're going to talk about telling jokes that are actually funny. Okay. And so when we think about that, there's a recipe for this, and it starts with the setup. You got to get all the ingredients together to make up a good joke, and so that's the setup. Then you're going to put some pow in your punchline. You're going to make it, add some power to it. And then you got to kind of set the timer, and by that I mean timing and the way you tell the joke makes all the difference in whether people will laugh. It's kind of weird that way sometimes, but just the way you time it out can really make a big difference. And then finally, delivery isn't just for pizza. And so we'll talk a little bit about joke delivery and how you can might be a flat joke and really make it good by just the way you say things.
Oh,
so I'm going to start out.
What kind of music does a roly-poly dance to the most? Rock and roll.
Nice. Excellent. So I'm just gonna give you an example of a joke, and you all can tell me whether or not it's funny. But just to say, I'm gonna use this example to break it down later. So let me just tell a joke. So about, I don't know, a year ago, they started working on the roads in the street around my house and in my neighborhood, and this was just a mess. Like, it seemed like every other day there were like 75 people kind of just standing in the middle of the street, not really doing a whole lot. But I noticed over time there was this one foreman that was there consistently. He had this big truck, and he always had like a Sam's Club, Costco size pallet of peanut butter in the back of his truck. I just thought that was weird. Like, who drives around with that much peanut? Like, what are you doing with that? So finally, curiosity just got me, and I went up to him and I said, "Hey, are you the foreman? Are you in charge?" He said, oh yeah. I'm actually the safety officer. I was like, really? Well, I gotta ask, what is all of this peanut butter about? And he looks at me straight in the eye. I'm not joking. And he says, "It's in case we have a traffic jam." Okay, so that was a bit of a dad joke, but kind of the way it was put together, right? It's definitely like a joke, like you might hear in a comedy thing. And I tell that joke because it's my best YouTube short. Like as far as a lot of people liked that joke, they liked how I told it, they did the delivery. And so I'm going to talk about the pieces of that and what you need to think about as you put things together, right? So your setup's going to include some kind of location to give people a grounding in the joke. Like, where is this joke happening, right? You've got to have a general premise to it, like what's the environment as far as who's interacting, that kind of thing. And then finally, you've got, some way to set expectations, what you might be talking about. So one of the ways I like to think about the setup is to kind of use the journalistic way of thinking about it. So you're going to do the who. So in this case, it was me and the construction foreman. That's the who.
You're
The what.
breaking up. Can you start from the top of the setup? You broke up there a bit.
Okay, I will go back. So when you do your setup, you're going to start with who. That's kind of when you're thinking about this and trying to put together your own joke. And it's who is part of this joke, who's going to be in it, and it needs to be relatable to the audience, right? So if the who you've got isn't somebody that the people in the audience would know about or have heard about, that's kind of already kind of a problem. What needs to be kind of a situation, right? Like, what is it that somebody can relate to that's going to happen? Where can matter, and it sometimes it matters because it's instrumental to the joke. Other times it's incidental, and so you got to think about that. But just kind of think about setting a setting. It gives you something to work with, right? The fact that I talked about the street around my house and that there was construction, all that where kind of mattered in the sense of it gave you a sense of, yeah, I was frustrated by this, right? When, time of day could matter in the joke, the time of year, that kind of things. But then why is this, why are you even telling the joke, in the sense of I was telling it here to illustrate the point, but sometimes it matters from a joke perspective, like, are you telling it to lighten the mood somewhere? Are you telling it because you want to blow up viral on TikTok? Like, the why kind of matters in your setup. And then finally, how is this going to be funny, right? And by how, it can be, I think this is going to be funny because it's relatable to people. How could this be funny? It could be that it's just something you saw and it was hilarious because, you saw somebody fall down, because quite frankly, a lot of jokes are about somebody else's pain. I hate to say that, but that's part of comedy. So anyway, but you kind of put the ideas down on paper and you think about it, right? And so with that in mind, then it's your turn. I've given you a little sheet there in the worksheet that says the who, what, where, when, why, and how. And so all I want you to do right now is set up. You're going to set up your joke, and then we're going to go into how to make that funny. You know what? And I'm going to talk about that. Someone said that joke must hit different in America. Australians haven't experienced PB&Js. That's totally fair. And I didn't really think about that. I didn't really think about that when I was teaching, like coming to the class. I was surprised to see somebody from Australia. So next time I'll do better to make it a more international kind of joke. But yeah, that's a big part. And we'll talk about audience in a little bit. So here at 7:36 my time, is that right? 37, something like that. I don't know why this is supposed to play a video counting down, but it's not. So I don't know why. But anyway, so we're going to give you 5 minutes. Just work on your worksheet. I'm glad to hear your kids are enjoying it. I hope they're learning a little bit about how to tell a joke and kind of expanding their mind about how to use a homophone. I just like that word.
So Lena shared a really good one on the twist of phrase jokes. What do you do when someone's foot breaks down?
What do you do?
A tow truck.
Nice. Oh, I love that.
I thought that one was especially good.
Yeah, these are great.
I'm glad people are enjoying this session. It's a lot of fun. I'm really glad that we had a chance to do this. So go ahead.
No, and I'm glad you enjoy this kind of humor, because I'm just having fun. And I mean, now that I have kids off in college, I don't have kids to make groan every day with my dad jokes. So, I appreciate vicariously sharing my jokes with other kids out there. Like, I really like going to a trade show because I have a joke of the day. Like, every day I give out a different business card with a different joke.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love seeing kids laugh. Like, kids love it. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy hanging out with kids that way.
Okay, where did you create a new thread for the jokes?
Oh, I didn't. So I'll do that real quick.
And then I will share it in the chat so people can go over there and post their jokes. Okay.
So someone said we need more of these wholesome online classes. Best part, it's free. So I would love. I'm gonna put another post in here. Is what else would you like to have? I can probably do lots of things, but I don't know what people would like. I just started with the dad jokes because that's just what I do.
You're a dad joke engineer.
Nice.
That's a good one, Lena.
I love it.
Lena's family sounds like they have a lot of fun.
Okay, we got about 30 more seconds, then I'll move on to the next part. Because right now, all you're doing is just set the setup, right? This is where the joke's going to happen, how it's going to work, and then we're going to talk about. Really, we're going to put the pow in your punchline. You got to put that one in the thing.
Why don't sharks eat clowns? They taste funny.
That's excellent. That's excellent.
Okay, so we have another one is Jennifer asks, what does the cow say to a chicken?
I don't know.
So what do they say? We're waiting for the answer.
Well, we'll have to maybe come back on the next one for that. So I'm going to move on to the next section here, the punchline. And I knew this was coming up, the kangaroo bit there, right? Like, kangaroo knocks somebody out. That could be a punchline in and of itself, somebody getting in a fight with a kangaroo, right? But when you think about it, part of the deal is it's just an unexpected conclusion. Like, I don't think anybody was expecting me to put a kangaroo up here. That's kind of a joke in and of itself. But the whole point of a punchline is to throw somebody off, to give them a different sense of reality, quite frankly. And a lot of times that can be with a surprise change in status. So a lot of the times when you're doing a joke, you're taking someone basically kind of lowering their status, which can hurt their feelings unless you know them pretty well, or the way you're telling the joke is fine. Like in that context, part of what I was trying to do in the joke about the jam was I set this guy up as a safety inspector, right? And I mentioned that, like, he's the safety inspector, like he's in charge of things, that he's important. And then he makes a dad joke, so that lowered his status, and that's what made it funny. That's part of the thing, right? But that surprise change in status is usually part of the punchline. And then the other side is just a clever outcome, like something nobody really thought that would come out. So I'm going to tell one that, and I didn't ask this up front, but I'm going to tell it because it's kind of funny, and it exemplifies this punchline bit. So if you're not a Star Wars fan, I'm sorry. I'm kind of a Star Wars fan. But my biggest joke I ever told that was a good one was, so my son was getting ready to go do his driver's test. And I told him he better wear his stormtrooper helmet. And he asked me why. And I said, so you don't hit anything. Now, Amelia gets that because she's got, some Star Wars background, knows that stormtroopers don't hit their targets. It's a whole thing in Star Wars. But if you don't know that, it's not very funny. But the clever outcome is what, throws people off is, first of all, what dad would tell their kid to go, like, wear a helmet, like a stormtrooper helmet, to a driving test? Like, that's ridiculous. And then my why was kind of clever. So anyway, just to say, that's how you want to think about a punchline. Can I squeeze out something that's just a little bit clever, might adjust the status of a person in there, but in the end, you're looking to be unexpected. Like, what's an unexpected outcome? that joke, nobody expected that outcome, and it worked pretty well. Same thing. I don't think you were expecting me to say anything about it, about the traffic jam. So that's what you're looking for in a punchline. And now you guys all have 5 minutes to come up with your own punchline for what you did before. And I'm going to put this up here to this is your crafted joke. So by crafted joke, I mean the whole thing.
So we have one entry from Isabel. It says, "What did the haunted cow say?" Boo.
Nice.
Oh,
okay. I will take that under advisement. Paragraph writing or creative writing classes for elementary age children.
Okay, I'm going to get the link here.
Because I think I'm coming back later this year, right?
Mm-hmm. In November. We have another one.
Well, I will see if I can put something together by then to meet that demand. I think I've got something. And so at 7:45 my time, so in about 4 more minutes, we'll come back to the thing.
Guest starring Teddy Bear.
Yeah, if I had the door open, I might be assaulted by a cat. So I think we're safe there.
Okay, I have the link there to share your whole joke. Go ahead and head over there. Share your joke from, and be sure to take a look at the worksheet. A lot of good information there. So I did find some of a roundup of the best dad jokes of all time, according to the Pioneer Woman.
Oh,
I could share a couple of those.
That could be pretty interesting.
So, let's see. Did you hear the rumor about butter? Well, I'm not going to go spreading it.
Nice. That's actually, I tell it with peanut butter because I got this whole peanut butter thing going on. But that's actually one of my jokes of the day that I use at these conventions. I have a business card with that on the back somewhere around here.
Nice. What does a nosy pepper do? Gets y'all up in your business. Like a jalapeno pepper.
Nice.
Let's see. Can a kangaroo jump higher than a house? Of course.
I don't know. Can a kangaroo jump higher than a house?
Houses can't jump.
So that was an unexpected conclusion. That was not what I was expecting at all.
Let's see. What are the strongest days of the week?
What are the strongest days of the week?
Saturday and Sunday, because all the other days are weekdays.
Nice.
So let's see if we have people typing comments to share their jokes.
So my friend started a submarine company. Unfortunately, it went under. And I told that joke because it is National Submarine Day. And so at the end, I'm going to talk about national days. But just to say, that's in celebration. You can celebrate National Submarine Day today.
We have, what do you call a cow that fell down? Ground beef. That was a good one, Ashley. And Carla, I see that you wanted to share the link with your friends. You absolutely can. This will be available here on Facebook as recorded live video, and it also will be available on our new YouTube channel. So I'll go ahead and drop a link to that if anybody wants to subscribe to make sure that they get access to all of those and that they're able to rewatch them whenever they want. be sure to go and share your joke in the joke thread so that we can give you a shout out. It's this one. What do you
That's
call
excellent.
a fox with carrots growing out of its ears? Anything you want. He can't hear you. That's a good one.
That's excellent.
That one was shared by Ashley as well. Okay, Alan, you have a joke on your crafted joke thread.
Okay.
You can reload there if you can't see it.
Let me check that out. Give me a second to load the page again. Sometimes it doesn't. Okay, so I'm going to read this out loud, and you can give a comment in the chat here to see whether or not I give you good delivery. I once had a friend in the medical field, but he saw a hole in the market as none of his colleagues worked over the holidays. Now, he only works Good Friday because he's an anti-Easterist. Interesting. I like it. Oh, I said it wrong. An Eastertist. Like a dentist or an orthodontist. He's an Eastertist. Oh, see, I'm going to talk about this, actually. That's actually the next thing is timing and delivery. So one of the hard parts about telling someone else's joke is you don't know it well enough to know whether or not where to pause, right? Because the timing and the pauses in your joke make a huge difference in how it's perceived. Because if you just kind of walk right through very, robot-like, that's unlikely to get an example. But also, if you draw it out too long, so you got to be careful just to keep people's attention. But the more you draw it out, you're going to create tension in the audience. Because if you can keep their attention but keep drawing it out, like you kind of want to pull it out, the longer it goes, the more wonderment they have about it, and the more likely that punchline, when it finally does hit, to just have some power to it. So you want to create that tension with your timing, and then finally, that's kind of what I said, the power is the punchline. It's just really important that you put that. So one of the things I did when I gave you that joke, and you can go back and watch the video again now that we know that it's on YouTube, you could see I really drew out the last 4 or 5 sentences of that because I was trying to get you closer into what is this peanut butter all about. Like I introduced the peanut butter, 4 or 5 lines before I got to the final end, and I try to draw that out. So timing matters, and that's the thing. The joke that I just read, I didn't read it very well. I didn't have very good timing, so because it wasn't my joke. The other thing is on the delivery, your tone of voice matters a ton. The more you can inflect it, bring it up and down along the way, maybe get quieter. So Amelia, when I tell the peanut butter joke, right, and I said the way I say it is, I get really close to people and I say, "Have you heard the rumor about peanut butter?" And I look around like it's secret and I don't want people to hear. And then I'll go, "Oh, I better not spread it," right? And it does that to people because I got really into it. My tone of voice mattered. The facial expressions. If you not watched how I did that, I was very animated. It seemed like it was important. But especially that body language of looking away, or like I'm it's a secret. I got to see who's listening. That kind of thing really sets it up. And so in a lot of cases, your body language can either sort of sell the joke or not. So you want to use your body as part of this if it makes sense for the joke. So in closing this out, now we're going to get into some things to avoid. The first thing you got to avoid is homework. Okay. And by homework, I mean, did you put somebody in a bad setting? We've already seen homework, right? The PB&J joke did not go over for Australia. Like, they don't have that there. It's not a common thing that they do. So, it wasn't common for them. And to a certain extent, PB&J is actually slang. It's something that we say in America a lot because it's something that we have, but it's there. So if you're telling a joke that's got a lot of slang or jargon in it, then you're going to throw people off if they're not familiar with that. And then finally, the last one is pop culture. So, like, I told a Star Wars joke earlier. Maybe everybody got it, maybe they didn't. But Star Wars is kind of a pop culture thing. There's lots of stuff out there. I don't know, Pokemon or Strawberry Shortcake or whatever. There's lots of stuff that's popular that if your audience isn't familiar with it, then it's maybe not a great joke because they're not going to get it. So I'm going to give you an example of a horrible joke because it requires so much homework. Only like 1% of people will get it. So here's my example. So did you hear that The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1 almost got canceled by a bunch of moms? Yeah, the crap dragon was supposed to spit out Baby Yoda because he didn't like his greens. See, moms, like, that didn't make any sense unless you've actually seen the episode, understand what a crap dragon is, understand Baby Yoda. Like, there's a bunch of stuff that goes into that. It's a horrible joke. But I just got caught on, I wanted a joke where something spit out Baby Yoda because it didn't want to eat their greens. But I could never make this joke funny. Like, I just couldn't, like, I had a punchline, but I could never find a setup that was actually funny. So be aware of that. As you're building jokes, your own jokes, you might think you've got the best punchline in the world. And in the end, nobody's going to get it, or it's not going to be funny because you can't, it takes too much homework to get there, right? So you don't want to set people up with something that's just too complicated to understand to get to the end. And the other thing about homework is it's really easy to create homework for people that just slows them down and they fall out of the joke. Like, if they got to really think about it, if they got to do some algebra in their head to get to the end state, they're probably not going to get it. So just watch out for that. The other thing to note, though, is that's normal. Like, if you've got it, what you think is a great punchline and you can't get it to something that's actually funny, then you're just normal. So major comedians like, people from my day, so like Jerry Seinfeld, say that it's like 1 in 70, 1 in 50, somewhere in that ballpark, jokes are actually funny. So, these stand-up comedians that do big shows. So, in America, one of my favorites is Tim Hawkins. He would tell you, 1 in 50, 1 in 70, that's actually funny that the audience laughs at. So it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of practice to take that punchline and then put it with the setting. If you're hooked on the punchline, if that's what you're hooked on, then you got to do a lot of work then to build a setup that makes sense for it, that doesn't involve homework for the audience. The other thing you want to be careful of is being offensive. Now, there are comedians who have made their entire thing about being offensive, and we just don't want to be those people, so let's not. But you got to know your audience. Sometimes something that you thought was pretty innocuous or, not a big deal, like nobody's got a reason to be upset about it, is actually really upsetting to the group because of either something going on in the environment or a current event. So there's been a lot of things where a joke was perfectly fine yesterday, but because of a tragedy today, it is not funny. Like, it's not, and especially not for the people. If you got a joke about a train wreck and a train just derailed in a town and destroyed people's livelihood, that's probably not the joke you should be telling, right? Like, it's not appropriate for the environment. So you got to think about that, and you don't want to be offensive to people intentionally. And then the last thing that's super important is don't start laughing at your own joke in the middle of it, because it throws off your delivery, it throws off your timing, makes people wonder if you're a little bit crazy, and it's just bad joke telling. So if you've got that kind of joke, though, that you're already laughing before you can finish telling it, what you want to do is just take a deep breath and pause and maybe laugh it out yourself without saying it out loud, so that then you can calm down and then set it up and tell it with the right delivery. Because what it really does is it messes up your delivery. If you're laughing at it, your timing's off and your delivery's off, and it's just not going to be funny. So would this be offensive about the avatar? Now, what I would say is, first of all, that avatar question about why so blue, I've got to ask which avatar. So my kids grew up on Avatar: The Last Airbender, this guy that was like some kind of Japanese anime thing. But I think he's probably talking about Avatar from the movie that just came out. And so that joke might be fun, might be offensive to avatars. I don't know, but I thought it was funny. So, you know, I mean, I think it's a good joke. But again, you got to kind of wonder, you know, based on your audience, who are you talking to? Are they going to, you know, are you going to hurt somebody's feelings? So with that, that's the conclusion of our class. I hope you all had a few laughs. I hope you learned something about the, you know, the whole art of joke telling and how to do it. I really do hope you subscribe to my Silly Celebrations newsletter. So every day of the week, there's some crazy celebration out there. I have an admin that helps me put that together, and like today, she found National Submarine Day, which is great. And we'll be going back through these jokes that are in this Facebook group thing, and if we find it goes with the day, we'll definitely highlight it and give you some credit for it. So I just hope you subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed the class.
Thank you so much, Alan. This was a lot of fun. If you enjoyed this class, go ahead and leave a laughing emoji on the video so that you can let everyone know that you found the class fun and funny. Thank you again so much for joining us, and I went ahead and put a link to his newsletter and Silly Celebrations newsletter in the comments. Go ahead and go over there for more fun and jokes.
Yeah, thanks everybody for showing up. I really appreciate it. I had fun reading your jokes. It made me laugh.
Thanks so much for joining us.